We don't get no much.
There's no excuses anymore. There's so.
I'll be learning how to do it in the studio. Oh, this is Memphis?
My name is Tommy G, and you might be wondering how I got here. Initially, I took a road trip to Memphis where I was going to be working with a nonprofit called We Fight Monsters to cover a story on human trafficking. But my friend at the nonprofit, Ben Owen, said, well, if you're going to be coming to Memphis, you might as well meet my friend Johnny Carter. He does undercover drug busts here. So of course I give Johnny a call, and like any true pal would, he invited me to a raid. You see, Johnny happens to be the director for West Tennessee Drug Task Force, so he has the pull to actually invite me to a raid where we'd also be meeting up with members of Memphis SWAT and other law enforcement agencies. Seeing as I've spent much of my career on YouTube covering the criminal side of the coin, I thought this would be an interesting opportunity to interview law enforcement and hear their story. And growing up as a bit of a pothead and rebel in high school, I've always had a little suspicion about police and authority, partly because I had trouble accepting that someone with a badge had the power to send me to jail for reefer, and partly because I was probably paranoid in my smoke-filled car. But as I've gotten older and lived in more sketchy neighborhoods, I've come to realize that good and accountable law enforcement is essential to a safe community. So in this episode, we get to witness a raid, I get to ask law enforcement all the sorts of questions you might also want to ask, and towards the end, good old Johnny has to draw his gun, but more on that later. This, folks, is inside an undercover drug bust. Let's get into it.
I would love to get my face cut.
New merch at TommyGMcGee.com.
Welcome to the underworld, folks. Honey G.
6 a.m. in Memphis, Tennessee. We're gonna be taking an inside look into the world of drugs at an angle that we've never seen it before. Usually on the channel, we're the ones interviewing the guy that's selling it, buying it, and this time we're gonna be interviewing the side that's raiding it. So I think we're gonna learn a lot. It's raining a bit here in Memphis, so I asked Johnny, are we still going in? Johnny said we're like the post office. It's rain or shine, they're gonna visit you. So, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good to meet you. How are you? You guys get nervous for stuff like this? If that vehicle shows up to your house, you know you're
Oh yeah, you know, there's no question.
And how many overall men you think will make this breach?
So there'll be one SWAT team that'll make the breach. Then once the SWAT team secures the house, everybody's in cuffs, they've checked it, they'll do a secondary check. Then the search will start.
Do you get nervous before stuff like this?
Doing it for 26 years, I still get nervous every day.
And do we know what we're hitting this guy for?
Fentanyl.
How much we talking?
Ounces.
How much can I make off an ounce of fentanyl?
It's about $20 a button. A button's about 1/10 of a gram. About $5,600. It's a never-ending battle. It's a game of whack-a-mole. You knock one down and two more pop up.
What was the timeline of when you feel like fentanyl really entered Memphis?
As soon as the states and the government cracked down on prescription opioids, you had Big Pharma. They introduced the opioid pain meds, they introduced the pain scale, and they made pain a right in the hospital, and doctors were giving it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then you had addicts that got addicted to it.
It's crazy hearing law enforcement acknowledge that Big Pharma is the root of a lot of the drug addiction issues in America, yet when you look at things, not one executive has ever served prison time, and all these small dealers are getting busted. It speaks to a growing frustration with Americans that the white-collar criminals can get away with anything and get rich, and the little guys get 10, 15, 20 plus years.
And then everybody cracked down on it. They did away with it. They're not prescribing it as openly as they used to. And cartels, they pay attention to what's going on and they adjust. They're a business. They're all about money.
So right now we're traveling in a convoy.
Oh yeah.
Around how many men would you guess are going to be on this operation?
Oh geez, 30. So what we'll do is they'll go in and secure. They'll do their initial entry, the initial search. They'll get everybody that's out in the open secured in handcuffs, and then they'll do a secondary search for anybody that might be hiding. And then
It was on TV.
then we
It
will
was
start the
really about a
search.
SWAT.
Before we see this raid,
Which
I
is
wanted to get the
actually
scoop from
crazy
someone who's been raided a few
because I don't
different
know where I
times.
put
This
it,
is
but
Fila. He was a big Memphis drug
we
dealer and
gotta-
OG back in the day, and this is his story.
We got I visited Dallas SBI.
I had this trap house
Oh,
over
but
on
that's all
Macklemore,
I can really
and
say.
every
They
night it was a
never signed
f***ing
an
party there,
NDA, I
7
can't
days a week. It was coke, it was
So I
crack,
can't tell you
it
what
was
I've seen
seed,
necessarily.
man, plenty of money, everything.
Just know they
I
work with
loved it.
everybody.
So one night I was inside my bedroom, and I know the music up front be loud and everybody be partying, but I was f***ing tired. I just had to get some rest. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was f***ing quiet, and I'm like, so I get up, and I walk out, my front door, the raw end door was wide open. Next thing I know, when I turn my back, bam, the cops. So they take me to the door, and I look out on the porch, and everybody that was in my house was handcuffed and laying face down on the ground.
There's a trap house right next to a sheriff's deputy.
So that's probably why they're not selling as much out of that house and going to other places.
Okay, so they're at the front door, they're preparing to go. Holy. So they're not doing a no-knock raid, I take it.
No, those are illegal now.
Probably for good reason, right?
Oh yeah.
They're breaching the door. They're kicking the door in. So he's not complying, or is he coming out?
SWAT teams be sued.
So I really don't know at this point.
If there was going to be a shootout today, this is the moment when it would happen. For a tense minute, there was a standoff in which all guns were aimed at the house. Thankfully, the suspects decided to surrender peacefully, and after that, the SWAT team conducted their search.
So this is actually a female that's our main target.
Damn, can you imagine raining out, you woken up at 6:20 a.m. in your underwear and you're taken to jail, and that, how many years is a guy like this facing most likely? Like,
So it depends on the amount and their criminal history. Sale of fentanyl's a Class B felony.
They should get the maximum amount of time that it carries. Fentanyl is like playing Russian roulette. You don't know if you gonna hit this shit and you gonna die or not.
.30 a.m. the raid was completed without a hitch. Now the rest of the house is being searched. These people were wanted for selling fentanyl. I guess we've been doing this job covering the underworld long enough that I can say I've never met anyone that I would consider evil. I meet people that make really bad decisions, but you gotta draw a line in the sand. Like, is someone that sells a large quantity of fentanyl, are they evil or just a good person making bad choices? Like, what level of sympathy or grace do you give to somebody like that? It's easy from an outsider, like, oh, the guy just selling drugs to pay his rent. Like, I don't think it's right, but I get it. Okay, that's one level. Another is, she just sold a dose that killed my brother. Like, now it's personal. Like, how many bodies are attached to this fentanyl game? And then, when everything is said and done, how much of this just has to do with poverty and rough situations? We were at a Texas prison recently, and not one of those guys came from an upper middle class home with 2 parents in the household. Like, show of hands, who would say they grew up in poverty? Show of hands, how many of you had your father in your life growing up as a kid? How many of you didn't? Certainly the job of a drug dealer has been popularized, has been glamorized in hip hop and rap. Like, the hustler is the guy that people look up to in a community. And is that because rap made it cool, or because, depending on what area you're from, that might be the one guy with some sort of resources? I don't know. If I'm treating everyone like I'm an older brother, and I could give them advice, I don't think I would tell them to do anything that can result in years behind bars. What amount of money is worth time and...
Sauce Walker said this before in the song, and he said that all you looking up to is the pastors and dope dealers. I forgot what song it was. It was one where he was freestyling over somebody else's beat to a song, but he said that, and that was real true when he said it. Because when you growing up in places and you don't see nobody having it or looking like they got it or having the nice things that you dream to want, except the pastors and drug dealers, it make you be like, dang, pastor, I don't think I got it cut out for me for that one, because that's the route a lot less taken. But drug dealer, I feel like I can do that, and that's what they kind of go for. Especially if you really don't got it, and it's one of those situations where your mama barely not there, you having to fend for yourself a lot, you don't got nobody else there, you don't got nobody to really tell you, hey, that's not the route. It'll make it so easy for you to go down that route. A lot of people don't understand, but it's one of those things where you really gotta be in tune with it, and understand. You gotta really understand that there's other ways and know that there's other ways. I think that's the problem with a lot of people, is that they don't understand that you got a lot of life to live, and that you don't have to focus on trying to make all of that right now, if that makes sense. Like, there's other things
Prison.
that you can do.
Like, even if someone said, I'll give you $1 million, but you gotta go away for 10 years. No. I wouldn't take $1 million for 1 year. Some of the law enforcement we spoke to were operating undercover, and for this reason, we had to blur their face for their interviews. For the average guy in the streets out there, can you remind them how much of a bad idea having a switch on you is?
Turns it into an automatic pistol, which is an ATF violation, which is a federal crime. You know, and once we do our job, what the actual prosecutors do with it is kind of up to them. The other big problem we're seeing right now, man, is that, man, we're grabbing these dudes and putting them in jail for serious violent crimes, and they're getting out, you know, in a day or two.
Like murder?
Murder. It's all in the news right now in Memphis, man. They're released, they're RORing guys on first-degree murder charges.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's in the news. I mean,
because it's innocent till proven guilty, or like what's the rationale for that?
Their rationale, I think, is that they're like, well, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty, and then they're like, well, this person they arrested doesn't have a job, and they live at home with their mother, or whatever. And I understand a little bit of that. I can empathize a little bit, but when it's a violent felony, bro, and the other thing is, you're right, it is innocent to proven guilty, but law enforcement, I've been doing this for 18 years, man, and law enforcement, in my opinion, we don't put charges like aggravated assault, aggravated robbery, murder. We don't put those charges on people just with a little bit of evidence to make it probable, right? Probable cause. We don't do that. It is hard evidence, man, because I don't want to, even if we have doubt, we're not going to arrest somebody on a charge like that unless we're firmly convinced that they committed that crime. The repercussions of even just being charged and arrested, and maybe even being released later and found that you're innocent of it, like that can follow somebody for the rest of their life.
Right now, the people I'm most afraid of are typically like the 15-year-olds. This is Steve Mulroy, the district attorney of Shelby.
No cap. Those, especially down here, because this is Texas, bro, all of the younger kids is getting these guns that they don't need to have, and because they're so young, they use them stupidly. Like, I'm in Texas, I have a gun. It's completely legal for me to have a gun. I'm 21 years old. I can have any gun that I want as long as I follow the right rules while I'm carrying it. I got a holster for it. I don't conceal carry it. And when I do have it with me in my vehicle, it's out of hands reach. It can't be reached while I'm driving. So that's all the boxes that tick that allow me to have my gun. But for these youngins, boy, they walk around with these guns like they not 15. They're not even supposed to have them. They walk around no holster. That's one, no holster. So, and most of them, they have Glocks, which means there's no physical safety on that Glock. And they ride around with them with one in the head, ready to go at all times, and they just be hanging out everywhere. I'm not gonna lie, and they be ready to use it just for any minor inconvenience, and even if it's not a minor inconvenience, them the youngest that's robbing stuff, doing stuff like that, and it be over little petty stuff, but they don't understand that, hey, this is something that's real small. Why am I using this gun and knowing in my head that I'm gonna kill this person they don't give me what they got. Nah, they don't know that. They don't know that at all. That's the problem. But yeah, that's who I'm most scared about. That's what I got my gun for the youngest. I ain't get it for no older people, because that's not who I'm worried about. I'm worried about them. Even people that's my age and out doing stuff, they understand, hey, I'm not out here going and get anybody. I'm going out here and getting people that have that I need to be getting, or that have had beef with me, or have done something to me, or people that's around me, and anybody else, they don't got nothing to do with this. Or regardless, they not itching or squeezing on somebody that's like that. They getting other people that's already doing stuff in that field, not no regular person. Them youngest, they doing regular people that got nothing to do with anything. It's crazy.
County. He and his team of 110 prosecutors set the tone for how crime is fought in Memphis, the most dangerous city in America. Some in the city praise him for things like increasing funding for the homeless and ending the illegal practice of 48-hour holds of suspects without probable cause. But others, including some of the cops we spoke to, thought he was soft on crime and deserved blame for some of the lawlessness in the city. This is what he had to say. Let's dive more into the juveniles, because what I've noticed in traveling the country and being in some of the craziest areas is it's the younger kids, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids, that you sometimes have to be the most afraid of. How do you curb them, but also not just give them a free pass to get out tomorrow and do it again?
There are two particular types of crimes here in Shelby County that we're really concerned about with under 18 crime. One is car break-ins and the other is car thefts. One of the things we're doing to address that problem is we've set up in our office something called the CARS unit in our juvenile court team. And the idea is that the goal is to try to intervene early on where these under 18, but these kids are committing a nonviolent car break-in or a nonviolent car theft.
I'm not sure.
We're trying to intervene before they graduate on to more serious crimes. By the time they come to us, they're already down the wrong path, right? What we really want to do is intervene more upstream, earlier in their lives, where it can be more effective.
The people that are doing the killing, especially the young guys, like, what is the psychological profile that it seems like there's been such a loss of value in life? What is that?
I don't think a lot of these killings are done with any real thought put into it. Right? I think it's an emotional response at a moment's notice.
So impulse control issues?
Very much impulse control. I mean, that's why you're seeing most of these young people that, in their teens that are committing a lot of these crimes. It's impulse control. For whatever reason, they don't know that they understand the ramifications and the depth of what they're doing.
Shoot the killer celebrated.
Yeah, oh yeah. Man, so-and-so got 2 bodies. He got 3 bodies. Whatever. That's how they look at it. It just continues, man.
So for someone that says, like, wow, man, people are in tough situations, poverty.
Bullshit. You're making excuses, man, because you can say it's because they come from, an environment that doesn't give them chances. That's bullshit, man. I don't want to hear that. It's still the United States of America, man. If you make the decision to make your life better, you can make your life better.
What's going through your head right now?
I'm just glad everybody's safe. We're safe, the bad guys are safe, nobody got hurt, so that's a good day. And then, of course, we found what we were looking for, so that's an even better day.
Were there any weapons found?
No weapons, surprisingly.
How often do you find a switch when it comes to a fentanyl bust?
Switches are all over. The external switches, now they've got internal switches too, which are harder to get to break.
Man, these switches, I ain't even know about internal switches. He put me on, bro. These switches are a force to be reckoned with, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I want to be an opposition, but I ain't even gonna do that, because I think niggas know where I stay. But there's some niggas that I know that got some of these Glock switches on the game. And I'm not cool with these people, but they got switches, and that is insane, gang. That is insane. I be wanting to report them, but I'm like, I ain't even gonna do that, bro. They gonna get caught one day. And when they already got that felony, they're cooked, gang. Appreciate that, Lupe001_ for the follow.
Gun down to find it.
Over the course of your career, how many raids, busts do you think you've gone on?
Oh, Jesus. Well over 1,000.
I use Discord.
I've been in law enforcement for 26 years. Full-time dope and gangs for 21 years. I do anywhere from 1 to 6 a week. So that's a lot of math this early in the morning.
Does it feel like you have a wild job?
It used to. It's kind of become the norm for me now. I mean, I still love it. It's still exciting, and it's still a community service.
I'll drop my Discord in the chat.
How rough is this
I'll
immediate
drop it
area
in
that
the
we're in
chat.
right
If it wasn't raining, we'd have done heard 10 gunshots.
now? So rain almost helped the operation.
Rain helped keep us safe, absolutely. There wasn't any lookouts, there wasn't anybody out. So we're going to go ahead and process the evidence, count the money, do some field tests on the narcotics that we seized, and start the process that nobody wants, and that's the paperwork.
All right, guys, we'll see you at headquarters.
I got short-term memory loss. ADHD, someone said.
You've been doing this for 26 years. How are the last handful of years been different? Or what have you noticed about these last handful of years?
So, back when interdiction first became a thing, back in the, I'd say the 90s, it was pretty much trunk loads. You know, they throw it in the trunk and they take it wherever. So when you stop that car and you pop that trunk, or you look in that bag in the back seat, it was full of drugs. You know, nowadays, cartels have evolved. They hire people specifically to try to find ways to hide the drugs.
Now, do Memphis gangs come in contact with the cartels?
Sure.
Yeah, drop the Discord.
Absolutely.
Drop the Discord.
Do you think the Vice Lords, the Crips, the GDs, that they are doing in some way business with cartels?
Sure, absolutely. Everybody is, if you think about it. I mean, even the end user is indirectly doing business with the cartel.
How has the game changed in the last couple of years?
Oh, it's constantly evolving. I mean, every day you wake up, it's something new. It's a different way of hiding, it's a different way of selling, it's a different terminology, it's a different drug.
As we were sitting in Johnny's office, the interrogation of the suspects was happening in the room next door, so I peeked around the corner to see if I could hear how it was going. I tried to imagine how the suspects were feeling, knowing that if found guilty, they faced years of their life in prison behind bars. Is there any misconception about your line of work that you'd like to educate the public on?
There's a difference in opinion, which is what makes America America. Everybody has their own opinions. Some people think, oh, the war on drugs, we're never going to win, and we should leave these people alone, let them do what they do, and they're not bothering anybody but themselves. Some people think they ought to be locked up and the key thrown away for the rest of their life. Personally, I'm somewhere in the middle there. I think if we can help somebody and we can rehabilitate them, there are some people out there that probably need to be locked up and the key thrown away, and that's those evil people that I've stared in the face over the years.
How long can these interrogations go for?
Oh, I've had them go from 30 seconds to 4 hours.
When people are in the interrogation room, what percentage of them
Shadows traveling.
Blocking vision.
Wherever they run, I will follow.
talk and give up information?
So the majority will talk and will give up some amount of information, and that doesn't mean that they cooperate. This year alone, we seized over a ton of narcotics since January 1.
What percentage of that is non-weed tonnage?
Oh, the majority of it's weed.
Do you ever feel like when you bust a house for weed, or you're like, come on, that's weed?
Yes and no. The majority of that came off the interdiction unit, off the interstate. It was coming out of California or Colorado, places like that, coming across. Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a big one now. You were speaking earlier about the Chinese marijuana industry, and Oklahoma's ground zero for that.
This person here is trying to make the decisions that would determine how many years of their life will be spent behind bars. Let's tell you more about that process. Let's talk about the odds these suspects are facing. If the feds were involved in the raid, the conviction rate in Fed cases is over 95%. If it's just the county involved, their chances are decently better in fighting the charge. However, one thing worth noting is that most of these cases never make it to court. The vast majority result in plea deals. And due to the heavy caseload many courts face, plea deals with reduced sentences are often offered to promote cooperation and accelerate the legal process. Another tactic those charged can expect is an attempt by law enforcement to turn them into confidential informants in exchange for a heavily reduced sentence. If they give away key evidence, this information can be used to obtain a warrant to raid the next dealer in the chain. The flip side of this, of course, is the extreme danger of being found out to be a snitch.
All right, we're going to walk over here. We're going to start going through all the evidence that we recovered from the house. We'll do some field tests. We've got to count the money and go through everything.
What is the true economic opportunity of doing this? Someone running a dope house, what type of money are they making monthly?
Roughly, I'm guessing $15,000.
And due to civil forfeiture laws, is that money now your squad's?
So to speak. There's a whole lot of paperwork and a whole lot of hearings that go along with that. We can't just take your money. We can't just say, oh, it's drug money, let's take it.
Civil forfeiture is the highly controversial practice in which law enforcement can seize the property of someone suspected of a crime. But the thing is, the suspect doesn't even need to be officially charged with the crime for the property to be taken. The most commonly seized assets include cars, cash, guns, and in some cases even the house of the suspect. Once approved by the courts, the police are then allowed to keep or sell these assets. And many agencies, including Johnny's, fund themselves through this method. And to give perspective on how much this happens, the federal government has pocketed nearly $69 billion through civil forfeiture in the last 20 years. Proponents of this practice maintain that this is a way to keep criminal organizations from getting too powerful by hampering their resources, while opponents of civil forfeiture think this is essentially allowing law enforcement to commit legalized theft and is therefore a major violation of civil rights. Here is my lawyer's take on the subject.
One, the police can come in and take things that they don't know where they came from. Are they fruits of crime? Were they bought with illicit proceeds? Or are they merely someone's actual stuff and cash? And there's been terrible instances where, imagine, the kid is...
No, that is true. I heard about a story where somebody had been saving up for something and he don't trust banks. So he saved all his money traveling, and he got pulled over, and the cop found his cash, and he immediately seized it as thinking it was drug money or illicit proceeds, and that was literally everything that bro had. So he was stuck, sick, and out of luck, cause Brody took everything he had just cause the cop thought it was, and it's a whole long process for him to get it back. So that even takes even longer. Like, that sucks. I wouldn't do it. That's a janky way to...
selling marijuana out of his bedroom, small amounts. But the government will come after the parents and go after their car or even their house in some circumstances and say, well, it was used in maintaining a drug place, and so we're going to seize that asset. We see this a lot with people who don't trust banks. Imagine someone who's just trying to gather a bunch of money and go do something, buy a piece of property, buy a car, maybe save for their own house or their kids' college education. So they're squirreling away money, under their mattress essentially. And the police come in for some related or unrelated reason, and they grab all that money. What's that average citizen going to do against all the government agents and all their lawyers and all the bureaucracy that's built up to take those assets?
I'm curious to hear in the comments what your take on civil forfeiture is. In your professional opinion, what is the quality of the herb, the marijuana that we have on the table right now?
Probably pretty good. Smells more like medicinal.
Could I offer my professional opinion?
Sure.
Did you ask them what the strain of this might be?
Yeah, they didn't know.
Yeah, you can give me.
Is that any of that purple Urkel?
No.
Would a raid have been organized just for this amount of weed?
No. It would have taken pounds and pounds for us to have even thought about it.
Tell me about the fake Perk 30s that's been coming up in the streets.
Oh God, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, and they're so easy to tell. Real Perk 30s are not as plentiful as the fake Perk 30s that are coming out. So we'll double count all this, but these are in $1,000 stacks. So if they're all correct, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. This one stack right here is going to be 8 grand. Shay, on that tablet right there, 5,000 from the third drawer, room 3. So there's another 1,300 from the bedroom drawer. Red tote in the closet, 8 grand. $1,000 bundles, 8 $1,000 bundles. What's your guess over there, guys?
18,000.
I'm gonna go with 16.7.
18,121.
I wanted a taste of what undercover work was like, so Johnny took us to an area with sketchy motels that was known for being a crime hotspot. Driving around in Johnny's car that looked like the Fedmobile, we would soon find out that the locals were not happy to see us. So when you're navigating the hotspot, what are you thinking? What's going through your head?
Well, I mean, you're looking for what's out of the ordinary. So you have this crew walking over here.
Something looks like it's happening.
Something's going on. So she leaned in the window. She disappeared. Either he could have sold to her and she's going up to use, or he's buying and she went up to get the product.
Is this a circumstance where the ant leads to the queen?
Yeah, I mean, you take it as far as you can. Our goal is to move up. So
I don't got
we
a
get the user
soundboard
with, you know, 1/10 of a gram.
But clap it up for Tony G, bro. I ain't gonna lie. He do this filming and getting this stuff, but literally, was doing the criminal side, and now he doing the cop side. It's kind of interesting to see, because there's no other source out here where you can find this type of stuff. So I gotta clap it up for Tony G, bro.
Or 1/4 gram or 1/2 gram. We flip them to their dealer. We get them, we flip them to their supplier, to their mid-level supplier.
So it's a game of dominoes in a way.
It is. See, that's occupied. There's a guy in the driver's seat backed in right there. He's not going into the hotel. He's been approached at least by one street person. She could have bought from him a while ago. Went maybe put it up in a room for later, who knows.
Have you had any close calls doing undercover work?
Yeah, I've had a few. Went through a neighborhood. Lady was walking through the hood and waved me down, so I stopped. And she tried to sell me some crack. 2 different ways. 2 different kinds
Both
of crack.
types of crack, huh?
Yeah.
Damn, you must have looked like a good customer.
And that turned into me trying to arrest her. That turned into her fighting, and then that turned into her pimp coming out and fighting with her against me. So I was 2-on-1 for about 6 or 7 minutes. This was the days before tasers.
Uh-oh, the guy that was...
Yeah, I'm watching him. And
the guy behind us was their dealer, right? Potentially.
Potentially. That's cool. He's filming the car. But
this sketchy potential criminal reverse Uno'd us. You see, instead of Johnny pursuing him, he began pursuing us in an aggressive manner. Folks, in the shadowy underworld, the laws of the jungle apply, and territory can be fought over fiercely, and apparently we were not welcome here.
Oh, he's speeding up.
oh, he'll be fine.
He's trying to get up on the director of drug task force car.
Yeah. Let's see if he follows me in here. If he does, yeah, I didn't think he was.
You gonna call the boys on him?
No, I was fixing to stop him. Is he still sitting there? Oh yeah, he's moving on now. Yeah, I was a little concerned about getting boxed in. That's why. That's the kind of stuff right there. I mean, that's in every neighborhood. Like you come into a neighborhood, you're not known in that neighborhood. You're not welcome in that neighborhood. They're going to be coming up on you. They're going to stop you. They're going to want to know what you're doing there, and that's the part of the undercover risk.
Man, this is a job that puts hair on your chest, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I tried doing it for 23 years.
Absolute pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you,
pleasure.
man.
Thank you.
Folks, stay in school. Don't do drugs, except for the ones that he can't find. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Tommy G W, bro. Another W Tommy G video as always.